Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Schakowsky. As those of you, you know, and I'm from Michigan, college sports are a big deal. I'm committed to ensuring all athletes are treated fairly, female athletes are protected and supported, and the integrity of college sports is maintained. As we figure this out, it's well known that women's sports often do not receive the same support, promotion, recognition, or attention as men's sports programs at schools, in the media, and elsewhere. So we got to address this as we're doing all of this. We have to strengthen Title IX, improve gender equity in NIL, and ensure collective schools and conferences distribute resources more equitably. In April 2024, the GA reported that 93% of institutions with athletic programs failed to meet Title IX participation standards. And data shows female athletes are shortchanged over $1 billion annually in scholarships. Schools continue to invest more in promoting men's sports, and the success of revenue programs has enhanced male athletes' NIL and recruiting value. Schools are indicating that they will be giving men's basketball and football players 90% of the new revenue sharing payments, up to $20 million a year for the next decade, and publicly saying these payments don't count against Title IX. Mr. Whitman, how can thoughtful NIL policy promote women's sports programs and bridge these disparities in treatment?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Title IX has been absolutely instrumental in the advancement of college athletics. It'd be hard-pressed to find any law that has had bigger impact on the opportunities for students across this country over the last 5 decades than Title IX. And as I mentioned earlier, we're thrilled by the explosion in interest in women's sports. We've seen a volleyball match that was played in front of 90,000 people at the University of Nebraska. We've seen women's basketball played in a football stadium at Iowa. We saw a women's basketball national championship game that outdrew the men's counterpart on national television. We've seen the NCAA now, for the first time, begin to reward women's basketball performance with the adoption of the Women's Basketball Performance Fund, a hugely important change that was recently adopted by the national organization. We've seen some of these changes happening on our own campus at the University of Illinois. We have attendance and revenue records happening in women's basketball, volleyball. We've made real investments recently in our soccer program, track and field. Ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, we have an obligation and are complying with Title IX, and we have every intention of continuing to comply with Title IX as we move forward. There do continue to be some questions around how Title IX will apply to these new payments. It has been a question that has needed clarity for some time. We continue to seek that clarity. I expect that will reveal itself in the months and years ahead. Every person who sits in my chair understands our federal obligations and will adapt our policy and our strategy to be in line with whatever clarification we ultimately receive.
Thank you. We really do have to work on this. And I always have Hutch, who's trying to help me figure it out. In February 2025, the Trump administration rescinded guidance that required NIL payments in college athletics to be proportionally available to male and female athletes under Title IX. Ms. Cole, do you think this decision undermines Title IX's goal of ensuring equal opportunity for women in sports?
I am not familiar with this topic and not able to speak on the question.
Okay, thank you. I may ask you to familiarize yourself and get you to answer for the record. Traditionally, all sponsorship gate receipts, donations, and TV revenue go into one pot that supports all sports without discriminating on the basis of sex. This commitment has made the United States a world power in Olympics and a global powerhouse. Mr. Whitman, I'm coming to you again. Can you tell us what an overhaul of this precedent would mean for the athletes?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, can you clarify what overhaul of which precedent?
That all the sponsorship gate receipts, donations, and TV revenue go into one pot that supports all sports without discriminating on the basis of sex. That's made the Olympics a success.
I don't see that changing. And certainly at the University of Illinois, our intent is for our resources to continue to support all of our student athletes. And And we do believe under the House settlement, we'll be in a position to offer additional benefits to every student athlete in our program, whether those benefits take the form of additional scholarships, potential NIL payments, or some of the additional benefits that are now made available by virtue of the House settlement. Our intention is to continue to invest heavily in the experience of every student athlete who wears the orange and blue, and we think the House settlement provides us an even greater tool set to approach that opportunity.
Thank you. The gentlelady's time has expired. The chair recognizes